What is up, my little pretties? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and today we are going to do episode 92 of Shadows and Pretties. So today in this episode, I am going to be talking about is another Don Bluth movie, and this is called, well, American Tail, or An American Tail. It came out in 1986, and it is a family movie, and it's directed by Don Bluth, the same guy who did Thumbelina, Anastasia, The Troll of Central Park, but he also did the first Land Before Time movie. So I decided to go ahead and, explain, talk about this movie called American Tail, because it is a very good movie when I was a young kid. Like, back when I was a kid, I loved how this one went out. It was a pretty good movie, to be completely honest, when I watched this. So you're going to find out why. Most of you guys who were, kids, maybe when you were young, you probably have remembered, this back when you were a kid. So, like, I think when you were a kid, you might have, watched the movie when you were really young. So, anyways, that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit there and, talk about this movie and, kind of explain the plot of the movie. And I'm going to sit here and say, I remember this movie back when I was, like, a really young kid. And to be honest, I really kind of remember this because, I decided to rewatch it, and it's actually pretty good. So, I guess with that said, I'm going to sit there and, just kind of, explain this movie. So, let's dive into it, shall we? So, this takes place around 1885 in Sholuska in the Mouse or something, a Russian Jewish family, mice, who lived in a human family home are having a celebration of Hanukkah, where Papa gives his hat to his 7-year-old son Fievel and tells him about the United States, which is a country which there are no cats, and the celebration was interrupted when a battery of the Cossacks ride through the village square in anti-Jewish Rersen attacks, and their cats likewise attack the village, and mice throwing Molotov cocktails, and the mouse says home, and because of this everything has been destroyed. So in Hamburg, or it's a city in Germany, I believe, the Mousettes board a tramp steamer and headed for, New York City. And as all the mice are ecstatic of the exact prospect of going to America, that there are no cats, during a thunderstorm on their journey, Fievel suddenly finds himself separated from his family and washed overboard. Thinking that he has died, they proceeded to the city as planned, but they are devastated by his loss. However, Fievel then floats to New York City in a bottle, and after a pep talk from the French pigeon named Henry, embarks on his quest to find his family. He encounters a greedy con man named Warren T. Rat, who tries to sell him a sweatshop, and he escapes with Tony Toponi, with the street-smart Italian-American mouse, and they team up with Bridget, an Irish mouse, who is trying to get rouse her fellow mice to fight the cats. When the gang, of course, of them showed up, the Mott Street Maulers attacked the mouse in the marketplace. The immigrant mouse just learns the tales of the cat-free country are not true. Now, Bridget takes Fievel and Tony to see Honest John, an alcoholic politician who knows the city's voting mice, and however he can't help Fievel search for his family since they have not yet, registered to vote. So while his older sister Tanya tells her glooming parents that she has a feeling that he's still alive, but they insist that they will go anyway. Now, led by a rich and powerful the mice hold a rally to decide what to do about the cats. Now, of course, according to Honest John, Warren is extorting them for the protection that never provides, and no one knows about that until Fievel whispers his plan to Gussie. Although that the family attends to it, they still stand well at the back of the audience, where they are unable to recognize Fievel on stage with her. Now, the mice then take over the abandoned museum on the Chelsea Piers and begin constructing their plan. So on the day of their launch, Fievel gets left behind and advertently enters the Muller's hideout. Upon hearing what he believes to be his father's violin playing, he instead finds the warden there playing and discovers the diminutive cat in disguise when the leader of the Maulers. So very soon they capture the imprisoned men. Fievel then has his guards ready. The reluctant member of the gang, a goofy, soft-haired, long-haired orange cat tabby named Tiger, who becomes friends with him and frees him. Angrily, when he lets the Fievel escape, Warren promptly dismisses him, which is more than happy to accept, as he never liked this warden or his, violin playing. So as Fievel races back to the pier where the cats were been chasing after him, they're disguised as the warden to escort him to the mice again to surrender Fievel and their money exchange for their safety. But when Tony removes the woman's disguise in front of the mice of the aid of the slingshot and Identify refuses, furious warden sets the fire to the pier's entrance and attempts to burn them down. Now Gussie finally orders the mice to release the secret weapon, a huge mechanical mouse that was inspired by Hightail's papa told Fievel about the giant mouse of Misk. Now chases the warden and to his own gang down into a water. The tramp steamer bound for Hong Kong picks him up on an anchor and carries him away. However, a pile of leaking kerosene cans has caused the remains of the fire. The warden started to ignite the entire pier, but the mice are forced to flee when a human arrives. Firefighters arrive to extinguish the fire. Now, during the fire, Fievel is once again separated from his family and ends up at an orphanage where he is bullied by a trio of other orphans who, after hearing his story, tell him that his family should be looking for him and not the other way around. And he has misled them into believing that they don't care. Upset and having lost all hope, Fievel agrees and cries to himself to sleep, while meanwhile Papa and Tanya overhear Bridget and Tony calling out to Fievel and meet him to look for him together. But Papa believes that they may have another, Fievel somewhere until Mama finds his hat. Now, joined by Gussie, Tiger allows the mice to ride him from the final effort to find Fievel, and later hears his family calling out to his name and overjoyed. While he rushes them to safety while carrying them out, Papa finally hears his son and also rushes to him, and the family is happy reunited. So the family then ends with Henry then talking to everyone with his newly completed project of the Statue of Liberty, which it appears to be a wink at Fievel and Tanya as they start their new life in the United States. What a great actual story of this movie, The American Tale, to be honest. Like, when I saw this is actually a pretty good movie for what this is. It's a really well-made movie. It's just as good as The Land Before Time, which came out at least a few years after this movie came out. And of course, there are, some more American Tale, movies. Now, there is a sequel, that is called, one of them being Fievel Goes West, and there's a TV series called Fievel's American Tales, which, of course, the additional two sequels, they have another one called The Treasure of Manhattan Island, which is another, American Tale movie, and they also had another one called An American Tale, The Mystery of the Night Monster, which I really do prefer the original first one because it's a pretty good movie for what this is. But although I definitely would have to say that the actors did a pretty good job of how this one went out. Like, I'm really liking how, the movie had, pretty good, roles and pretty good, actors. And, it's actually really well made to see, these actors in the movie. Like, I really like how, the characters are. I like how, everything about them went out. Like, I really do like that Don Bluth picked pretty good actors to play who in this, which I really have to say, it's pretty well made. Though the production of this film began, I think, sometime in December of 1984, a collaboration between Spielberg, Bluth, and Universal-based Concept. Originally, the idea was conceived as a, television special, but Spielberg felt that it had a potential as a feature film. So Spielberg had asked Bluth to make me something pretty like he did of The Secret of the Nymph, which is another story which I will talk about another day, and make it beautiful. So of course he did that, and it became a pretty good movie. Now of course the writing of the concept consists of all in the animal world, kind of like how Disney's Robin Hood went out, which I did that episode already, so if you want to check that out, feel free to. But Bluth suggested animals working in a featuring a world as existing as a hidden society from the human world, like his own Myth and the Rescuers Disney movie. But of course, they ended up doing a lot more work on the writing, the development, and when it came to the casting, sometimes you could select a named voice as a well-known actor because if it fits to the character so well. But when it comes to, doing that, other times you need to seek an absurd voice and close your eyes and just listen to it. Now, of course, when it came to, certain characters, it was kind of hard to try to find, good character, good person, people to voice them, and etc. Now, of course, this was around the time, so only 3 years before the beginning of the Disney's Renaissance that Don Bluth had worked for, this movie became a pretty good success. Now, of course, when the production difficulties were going on, that's when, some things started to happen. Like they had like original music and they had everything about it that was just pretty good. The film has grossed up to around maybe almost $50 million in the US and Canada, is known as the best movie as they have seen. It's just as good. Of course, it is beating out, The Great Mouse Detective, which was another story, another movie. But, of course, with that being said, at the time, they did outbeat that. Little did they know is that The Land Before Time, it was at least a year later, it'd be grossed up by Don Bluth's next film, The Land Before Time. Yes, the first movie. And it indicates like a lot of good concept for this movie of how it went out. Now, of course, this was released on VHS and DVD, and there's also a Fievel theme park called Fievel's Playland, which was built in Universal Studios, Florida, featuring a large water slide and many oversized objects such as books, glasses, cowboy boots, and more. And a similar playground used to be at Universal Studios in Hollywood alongside a stage show based on 2 movies, but unfortunately was closed down in 1997 and replaced with Coke Soak and, other stuff, and it was only such a playground for that park. Surprisingly, it was there was a theme park based on American Tail, but eventually it just didn't work out and it ended up closing down, which is very unfortunate because I would have loved to go there if it was still around. Of course, there was a game based on this that was made for the PlayStation 2 only in Europe in 2007, which kind of sucks because it wasn't available for the States, because that would have been really awesome. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit about American Tail Fievel Goes West, but not going to really get into too much detail. All I know is that it takes 5 years after the first movie, and the plot of it is very different. Now, the plot of the movie is very different compared to the first movie. Now, when the first movie was made in that hand, it has a pretty interesting concept. Of course, there is another one called, The Tale of, Manhattan Island or something, The Treasure of It, which I wasn't really that crazy on that one, or the fourth one. But I think the first one did very good, and it's a really good concept. Now, what did I think of this movie? Really do like it, which I really do find it to be amazing. Really well done in detail, and I really do have to recommend it to people. So if people want to see American Tail, I really highly recommend you watch the movie, because it is a very good movie, and I kid you not, you will not be disappointed once you see how good this movie is, as it's a really heart-touching movie. Now, when I first saw this, I kind of cried a bit when I was like a really young kid, because this movie did have some emotional parts in it, and it still does. Like, being separated from your friend, kind of like, I like how, some movies that they include, having, a protagonist being, a young kid who gets, I guess you could say goes missing from his family, or at least, he or she, gets separated from their family and they try to get back together. I really like how those films do that. And with this American Tail movie, it does very well done with how the concept was portrayed. So, anyways, that being the case, that being said, what did you guys think about this movie, American Tail? And what did you guys think about the other movies of American Tail? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this movie a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.